Hello class, this will be the last section of chapter 12, now dealing with some applications of vectors. So just a quick review. So what is a vector? Remember, a vector represents a quantity that has size and direction. All right, and again, examples of these we can represent by displacement and velocity. So let's take a look at an example. The general position vector of boat A, t hours after it leaves Grand Haven, is given by r sub 1 equals t times the vector 30, 15. Second boat we'll call J. It's passing near Grand Haven. Its position vector is r sub 2, vector 50 over 5. And again, these represent our position vectors. The 10, 10 is the direction vector. So on each of these, this is a direction vector, this is a direction vector. The 50 and 5, that is a position vector. Okay, how far apart are the two boats? At the time boat A leaves Grand Haven. All right, well, we know at time t equals 0, boat A is at the origin. Okay, so therefore its position vector for this is just going to be 0, 0. J has position vector that's given is 50 and 5. So the distance between these two is simply going to be the absolute value of our vector 50 over 5 minus our vector for A, which was just 0 over 0, which is going to be, I'm sorry, not absolute value, magnitude is what we're dealing with because we're trying to find that distance. So if I subtract those, I'm still going to end up with a vector 50 and 5. Magnitude, remember, comes from the square roots. So this would be 50 squared plus 5 squared, which ends up being approximately 50.2 units apart. Okay, so how far apart are they? When boat A leaves Grand Haven, 50.2 units apart. Second part to this question, how fast is each boat traveling? Okay, so speed is found by calculating the magnitude of their direction vectors. This is each boat's velocity vector. All right, so for boat A, we can say that our direction vector from boat A is given here. This is at 30 over 15. So what that's saying, that the vector it will pass through in 1 hour is 30 and 15, which has a magnitude, if we want to find magnitude, again, magnitude represents length, of the square root of 30 squared plus 15 squared, which ends up being 33.5 units. And that was going to be in 1 hour. And so we would say 33.5 units per hour. Okay, so the magnitude of the length per hour is the speed. So the speed is 33.5 units per hour. Now for vector J, we know that it'll pass through the vector 10, 10 in 1 hour. And so its length is the magnitude, square root of 10 squared plus 10 squared, which equals 14.1 units. And so speed is going to be 14.1 units per hour. Now, are the boats in danger of running into each other? So if they run into each other, there's going to be an intersection. All right, so we need to figure out, do these in fact intersect? If they intersect, then our values of t will have to be equal. So our values of t must be equal. All right, so we can compare these two. I can say, well, 30t has to be equal to 50 plus 10t. So again, this was my boat A, this was my boat J. So if I subtract, this ends up being 20t is equal to 50. So t is equal to 50 divided by 20, which is 2.5. Now, if I could compare the y values, so these were the x's. If I were to compare the y values, that's 15t is going to be equal to 5 plus 10t. So this is 5t equals 5, and then t equals 1. Well, we can see that 2.5 does not equal 1, so they will never intersect. Okay, that's it. No more new IB math material ever. This is all the material we are going to cover for the year. So we've done a whole bunch of stuff. This is it. So our last assignment, working on the textbook, is just these two problems, page 437. Take a look at those. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me, but that will be it. So now we are going to do some more practice work. I'm actually going to give you a practice test dealing with vectors, or practice quiz, just to see where we're at. Don't get hung up on the grade. I'm not sure how the grading is going to work for this time that we have off, but give it your best effort. I just want to see where we are at. So we'll need to have that done for this week.